Good day, Bridge Nation. Welcome to the Public Eye. I'm Ronnie Thwaites, and this is the Bridge 99 FM. Today's Wednesday, January the 12th. Can you imagine? We're almost halfway through the first month in the year. We don't quint yet. You know what quint is? Yeah, you have to spell it too. Welcome to the Public Eye. Every Wednesday, we bring the issues straight to you. No slander, no gossip, just facts. And we continue to give our opinions. Sure, you're welcome to offer counter opinions. Just do so with charity and with politeness, as we hope we express ourselves. And that's the way for good discussion. What's the purpose of good discussion? Is pure talk, mouth water? No, it isn't. Talk bespeaks ideas. Ideas are the foundation of policy. Policy ought to be the foundation of action. Action should be the ingredient of progress. So that's the continuum that we're on. This morning on the Early Rise, my co-host Chief Pearnel Charles and I had a wonderful discussion with a lovely Jamaican lady called Debbie Allen. She's an early years educator at the Pearling Season International School. Guess where? In Doha, Qatar, the Middle East, the Emirati states. Yes, Gulf states. We talked about her experience there as an educator and the cultural differences between that end of the world and ours. She spoke about challenges and successes faced as a black woman and a foreigner living in the Middle East. And the other thing that struck me most, she says there's space for lots of Jamaicans and we get ratings in these countries, yeah? And that's very important for us, plenty of us who think we know what to do. And also it raises the question, if we can get ratings abroad, why we can't give ourselves ratings at home? Yeah, and ratings don't mean big up and fluff and self-pretension. No, what it means is that we respect each other, and we work and live in a way that is not exploitative one of another. You know, we can do that, you know. Boy, I tell you, just driving along Trafalgar Road coming here a little while ago, hurt my heart. I see two of the windshield washers, and if they are 14 years old, I eat my hat. Yeah. Now, how is that going to work? They need to be taken into the YMCA, which is right next door to that traffic light at the corner of Hope Road and Trafalgar Road. And they need to be put in a project that is going to obviously give them the basics of school, which they're not in school, you know. They're in school age, but they're not in school. Mrs. Williams, Minister, I know your pain, I know your preoccupation, but they're not in school. No, what am I can anybody tell you? In fact, you know, you got up in Parliament yesterday and says 40% of Jamaican children are in education at all. But I see these young boys, I see their eyes, I see their fright of approaching the cars, whether they're going to be rejected or accepted, whether they're going to get a money, a coin or a change or red money or some paper. Probably hungry. Oh, I'm bleeding hard for them. Sorry for them. Yeah, I am. Oh, no doubt. And you should be too. Yeah. Why am I spending time on the Public Eye talking about that? Because that is a sign of the state of our society. You can't just roll up your window and pass, you know. Yesterday evening, I saw another young girl. She must be 15, 16 at most at Dunrobin. And she had 2 bags of lime. And the lime don't even look good. But she just sell them, and she's insistent. Now, if you don't buy that lime, if you don't give her something, you realize what likely to happen to her. Good-looking young girl. Some man going to pick her up, give her a baby, not problem compounded. She's not out there because she wants to be out there. No one could say that. Yes, you could see that on her face. But the poverty and the inequality and the don't care and the selfishness are holding us back. Yeah, so we have to try and take a different turn. That's what the Public Eye is all about. Thanks for being part of the Bridge Nation by tuning into the Bridge 99.1213579 on the FM dial. And remember, you can also watch our live stream at www.thebridge99fm.com wherever you are in the world. That's where I'm understanding a lot of people pick us up. They don't catch us at the time of the live broadcast, but they check us out when they have the time on the bridge. You can also get us on Instagram at the Bridge 99 FM, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Bridge 99 FM. So the bridge large, wide span over the differences for Jamaicans all over the world. Well, in our program today, we resume our Educate Jamaica segment, sponsored by the Ministry of Education and Youth. They're no longer information. And we're glad that we can continue with their sponsorship. Director of the Safety and Security in Schools Programme, Mr. Richard Troupe, is going to discuss the Education Ministry's Yard-to-Yard Child Find Initiative. That's what the minister was telling us about. I mentioned it obliquely. If 40% of the children are not in touch with their school, either to come to school, or to take in the virtual learning, then the government correctly, in my view, says it's time to go yard to yard and find them out. Listen to me, I had a happiness yesterday. You see, I was on the north coast going westward, right about the time that Hopewell High School let out. Yes, now Hopewell High School is a little bit remote from Hopewell Town. This is in Hanover, right? Eastern Hanover. And if you saw the number of children in uniform back out to school, normally you wouldn't notice those things, you know, Richie. But when you see it happening now after 18, 20 months of engagement, then it's really, really very impressive. So Richard Troupe will have to tell us how we're going to go for those others in the other schools and in that school who are not engaging yet. Because enough picnic we have, you know. It's about 600,000 children we want to bring back into the picture. So you want to take the break and then come back with EduFocus, Educate Jamaica. Time on the public eye to Educate Jamaica. Morning, Mr. Richard Troupe. Mr. Richard Troupe is the Acting Director for Safety and Security in Schools at the Ministry of Education and Youth in Jamaica. This station, as you know, particularly courts a diaspora audience. And so, Richard Troupe, we're talking not only to folk here, but also those all over the world who have a love for Jamaica and probably are parents or sponsors of students in Jamaica. And they would be concerned for themselves and for us that Minister Williams yesterday afternoon had to say in Parliament that perhaps 40% of our students aren't cued into any of the different modalities of education at present, for very understandable reasons. But, sir, give us hope this morning. What are you going to do about it? What can we help with?
I'm very concerned about roughly 120,000 of our nation's boys and girls, school-age children, first children who should be in school, not in school, cannot be accounted for as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Many of these students would have been disengaged because of their reliance on the internet connectivity, yes, on data, on the technological divide. Yes. But as a mother and a hard-working minister, she understands that as a ministry we have to do more. And so we started in this pandemic with our guidance counselors and deans of discipline and teachers trying to get in touch with our boys and girls who would not have been accounted for. In the summer of last year, we as a ministry, we would have launched our Bridging the Gap initiative, drawing on our regional team, our guidance counselors, our school-based team, school resource officers, again, to redouble our efforts to re-engage our students. Again, we would have made some progress, roughly 25,000 of our boys and girls would have been engaged in our summer program. Come the 2021-2022 academic year, the problem still persists, Reverend Thwaites. Roughly, again, 120,000 children, because the number fluctuates. Different boys and girls make up that number over time. But as a ministry, our honorable minister would have conceptualized and we would have launched our yard-to-yard Find the Child initiative, a commitment that has a number of possibilities. One, we are committed to engage 580 youth workers under the HOPE program to be supporting 478 schools, primarily high schools across the island, that would have indicated a major challenge with a number of their students to be engaged. in the remote modalities of teaching and learning.
Tell us more about these young people who are being recruited, Richard Troupe. Who are they? What skills do they have?
They are again young persons, roughly between the ages of 18 to 29 years. Importantly, we ask the schools when they are looking for potential candidates to target communities that will have a high number of their unaccounted students. Sometimes these communities are very delicate communities, communities locked in violence. An ordinary person can't just go into those spaces like that. Sometimes these are communities that are not known by many persons in terms of the intricacies of the community, the dynamics of the community. Right. And so we ask our principals to identify persons from particular areas where there's a high concentration of unaccounted students. Sometimes our principals would have had a challenge to find such persons. Our principals know that they can reach out to the members of parliament who might have a better understanding of the network and the potential for engaging young persons. Our minister would have written to our members of parliament, one, indicating to them the 478 schools that would be a cause for concern, anticipating that our members of parliament will also be able to provide some potential young persons to be recruited for this program, but importantly, also suggesting to our members of parliament that they too can play a major role in this national call for action. Because members of parliament in their constituencies, Reverend Thwaites, know the families, know their communities, and so it's a call for action for all of us to be engaged in this process.
Yeah, well, it seems to me a good idea that you want to recruit persons to go yard to yard who probably know the students who are missing, or at least would easily recognize them, eh?
Yeah, that's right.
Good. I hope, though, I just need to say this. I'm not suspecting it, but let's not put any political spin on this one here, Mr. Troupe.
Absolutely, Reverend Thwaites. I know what is so important. What I see, I know that could have been a cause for concern, but why we're not seeing that. Mm-hmm. Members of parliament across the two political parties have been talking about this program. Yes. I mean, just this morning, a representative from the opposition party was on TVJ speaking about our minister's effort of yard to yard and sharing with the viewership and listenership of that particular television program. Right. The intricacies of the program, that member of parliament could have related the fact that youth workers are being engaged. In addition to that, Reverend Thwaites, social workers are also being engaged.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. That and the youth workers and the social workers can be the same persons with a little bit of training, eh? But
different persons, Reverend Thwaites.
Yes, okay.
So the 580 youth workers would have about 3 CXCs, but the social worker must be a trained, qualified social worker who will be a part of his or her responsibility is to also having identified the family, to be linking the family to the wraparound services. Yes. That will enable the family to be in a better position.
Well, now, you're going to pause and tell me that, because that makes it really very important. As I welcome my co-host, the Honourable Pearnel Charles Sr., who is joining us for this discussion, I'm speaking with Richard Troupe, who is the Acting Director for Safety and Security in the Ministry of Education, and particularly the idea of the importance of getting those 40% of children who Minister Williams indicated yesterday were not contactable, not in school. I saw you shaking your head when I mentioned that this morning, and I'm sure that this is an issue that will engage you too, eh? Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good. Here's your mic.
I can remove my
You can remove your mask. Thank you, Richard, for allowing me to introduce Mr. Charles. Let me ask this. In the recent Orlando Patterson report on the education system, Professor Patterson and his team indicate that many children are out of school because they don't have lunch money, transportation fare, and Richard Troupe, boredom.
That's right.
How are we going to deal with those three things now? You mentioned the other services. That you find the child, but the child's parent says, I just don't have the lunch money to send, or I can't find the bus fare, or the picnic say school not saying anything and him not coming. What do you do?
Yeah. Excellent point, Reverend. And that's why we would have incorporated in this program as a part of the support service that will be complementing our school-based team, our social workers.
Yeah.
These 108 social workers, again, will be linked to a particular school, and they will be working with the deans, working with the guidance counselors, working with the families that we would be trying to make contact with yard to yard. There will be certain social issues that would have prevented children from being engaged. There are going to be social issues that will prevent our children from staying engaged. And so the strategy will be to engage these social workers, to be working with the families. Families must recognize that we are not blaming them at this stage. We are not blaming them. The issues are real, but we are saying we cannot continue to allow our children to be disengaged. So whatever the social issues are, we have a responsibility as a ministry to be providing some level of support to you. The other thing that, and I'm happy that you would have indicated that Pearnel Charles Sr. is online, because another strategy of our effort, Reverend Thwaites, is because it can't be a prescriptive thing for everything for every community.
Yeah.
So for Clarendon, for example, one of the things we're doing under the yard to yard is recognize that there's going to be certain efforts of projectizing our intervention. So for example, we would have identified two major projects already. One, the 25 schools that as a ministry we are already working with under the interministerial 25 school strategy. These are 25 schools located within or serving the 5 declared zones of special operation. Now it's 6 over the weekend. The intention is, how do we support those schools to ensure that they maximize the opportunity of this program? We would have also done the same thing. We would have declared, because of the TVJ feature the other day on the Rocky Point Fishing Village, and in that feature it would have indicated, would have revealed a number of our students not engaged in school. They are engaged in economic activity when they should have been in school. The Clarendon Interagency Network, and at a meeting we had 2 weeks ago with Pearnel Charles Jr., we recognize that some of these issues that would have been preventing our children from being engaged existed long before COVID, magnified by COVID, and so our response cannot be just even only with families. We have to be looking at what are some of the dynamics within communities that are preventing, that are not enabling. How can we mobilize community stakeholders?
Yeah.
So the Clarendon group I mentioned would be involved. They are already involved. We are meeting with them tomorrow.
That's good.
SDC.
So you're bringing in the communities and the various organizations, social, hopefully religious, political, on this. I'm going to beg you something, though, Mr. Troupe. Pearnel, I hope you'll agree with me. The notice that face-to-face education was beginning again was fairly short. Nobody blaming anybody. Everybody wanted it to start as soon as possible.
Not really everybody.
Not really everybody. You're
not
correct.
Really everybody,
yes,
because believe me.
Yeah.
Well, you'll finish because I have a serious question.
Okay, come in. My point, my request is, if parents didn't have the uniforms and the shoes and the socks, Mr. Troupe, make the principal or the dean of discipline turn them back at the gate. You hear, sir?
Yes.
Make them come until they get it, please. And then I'll yield to Pearnel, because after that I really want to pray again that the school feeding program is up and strong, because many people follow Jesus for the fish and the bread,
Yeah.
And picnic will come to school if they can get the equivalent of the fish and the bread too. Pearnel, your time.
Mr. Troupe.
Yes,
I was minister. Well, good afternoon. I was Minister of Labor and Social Security. And I am seriously wondering when a parent said to me, them take off my picnic off of the path because my daughter sent a second-hand fridge from America for me.
Lord.
And when them come and check, me have fridge, and me have a old TV, but them send none for me. Cost me a whole heap of money we take out. I said, hold on now. Let's skip all of that. Because when the social worker goes to the home, you don't speak to the principal. The person who know who's sleeping in school because they never get no food is the teacher who tell the principal. And I don't know if it has changed. I hope it has. But if it hasn't, please, Mr. Troupe, put it down. Principal told me some picnic who get in part should never be getting it. Then drive come to school in a car. Yeah. And that's who walk barefoot without shoes like me used to. Don't have no food, no part. So there is a problem. Please say to every principal, please get to the ministry all the students you feel should have path who are not on path, and then you send your social worker to check with them. I have a little blind boy that I pick up. Yeah. I said, blind boy I pick up. He picked me up. Yeah. He came and hugged me up and said, "Is Chief Pearnel Charles?" Yeah. I said, yes. He said, "Let me pray for you." I nearly passed out.
Of course.
And he prayed for me. Uh-huh. And he said, I said, "Well, what happened to this?" He said, "He's blind." Mm-hmm. She said, "Well, when he was born, the doctor said I should carry him back. But I never have the money." Mm-hmm. I nearly passed out, right?
Yes, man.
So I carried him to town, passed him over to my son. Uh-huh. It was late. Uh-huh. You know where he is now?
Where, sir?
He's at the Salvation
Army School for the Blind.
For the blind.
Yeah, learning and doing and make himself a useful person.
That. Doing fine. And a lot of people in the constituency say, "Mr. Charles, take the blind boy, me have a vote for him." Yeah. You see, it's not... These are things that you do and people see it.
Well, that's good, but that's a sign of human. Richard Troupe, one of the thoughts that we respectfully suggest for you and for your ministry is that the schools need to have a greater say in who needs path and who doesn't.
At least the principal.
The principal.
All the teachers report to the principal.
Yes. And that's
who sleep to the because I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I used to have to provide breakfast, so I give money to buy what I used to get: cornmeal, sugar, and milk, and I get a nice little thing, and them learn.
Porridge can improve the education system greatly. Richard Troupe, what are your thoughts?
Let me respond to some of the things you mentioned, Sir Thwaites and Sir Charles, quickly. And so the short time notice that parents would have received for the resumption of in-person classes. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Yes. That would have been influenced primarily because we wanted to still maximize that window of opportunity to get as many of our high school students vaccinated.
Sure.
We are still pushing as a ministry, as a government of Jamaica, that vaccination is that particular tool in the armory that is going to minimize our vulnerability and the impact.
We share that.
Of right? And so that was that window. Now, in response to the short window, our Honorable Minister, and I'm aware that we would have had several meetings with our principals, and one of the concerns that our minister would have articulated in the forum is that principal school leaders should be sensitive to the reality that parents might not necessarily be in a position to ensure that children are attired in the way they should for school, and that some amount of flexibility, some amount of sensitivity should be applied to this context to ensure that no child is denied in-person classes, especially because of the learning loss. And so we should make every effort. Principals are complying, Reverend Thwaites, and we're happy for that.
Very good.
And where there are cases that would have been brought to our attention, our regional office would have treated it as a matter of urgency.
Yes.
That's one. Number two, the issue of children on path, and I can agree with you, Sir Charles, many of our children who should be on path are not on path, and so they would have benefited in the absence of that state support. They would have benefited tremendously from our schools' welfare programs to ensure that they are in receipt of luncheon, bus fare, and that level of support, sometimes uniform, because we are speaking to Reverend Thwaites, the diaspora community. And I know many times Jamaicans overseas still have a very close relationship with their past schools. Can I use this opportunity to be saying to our community overseas that continue your support of helping our schools with access to technological device? That has been a game changer. Even with in-person classes, our ministry recognized that the remote modality will remain a feature of our education moving forward.
Mr. Troupe,
more devices for students, right?
Mr. Troupe, I hear you. When the diaspora person in Canada who have gone to a school up in North South X and want to send a barrel with a wholly political uniform, some second hand, but it's new to some who don't have it. And are they now privileged to send it to an agency for the Ministry of Education with where it is to go, or it stay at the wharf till it starts to rotten? Which one? Where will they know?
Excellent issue. Such as for tablets, we know that we have net that will help our potential benefactors to bring in these devices without any hassle, without the kind of charges that would have normally been attributed to it, because the ministry have an initiative.
That's the National Education Trust.
That's right. That's the National Education Trust.
Yes.
Thank you, Reverend Thwaites.
Yes.
And so we encourage our listeners to utilize that opportunity, that particular platform, that particular agency to help you to mobilize that level of support. With regards to food and things like that, we do believe we can help our schools. So I would suggest, Sir Charles, ask our schools, ask those benefactors to get in touch with their schools. If schools are having a problem, schools get in touch with the region. Region will get in touch with central ministry. We will find a way to get any level of support to our nation's children and families.
Let me disturb you to say congratulations to the development in the ministry. And I have to look at Ronnie and hold my head down, because a lot of it was done when he was Minister of Education too.
Yes.
Like the dividing up the thing, the setting of the areas, the contact with the areas and the teachers, the principals, the visit. Very good. Much development from where we were. So there shouldn't be the big... Children are still be able to go to school, get transport, get some food, get some book. Ronnie, that is far, many 100% than when we were going with a little slate and pencil.
Sure, but we have to continue and complete that now. Richard Troupe, I'm anxious that those listening to us understand the coming to the yard, because you're not coming with police to punish anybody, to drag anybody out of the house. You're coming with a message of openness, of request, of urgency for the child to come back to school, eh?
Absolutely. And we're not blaming families, Reverend Thwaites.
Yes.
We are not skilling up our nose at families, Reverend Thwaites. We're not trying to get the law into it. What we are doing right now is recognize, having identified these particular children, we need to make contact with the families. We need to understand what are the issues impacting on the families, and we need to provide support to the families. We're not saying that.
Activate the school board. Activate the school board. Activate the teachers. Let them tell you, because I am telling you, sir, I know there are some parents who say, me never go to school. Him go halfway already. He can't read, me can't read. That is still with us, unfortunately. But when you activate the school board, they know everybody in the community.
Supposed to.
And they know which picnic not coming to school. And they know who is on the corner with the tablet instead of in school. It is out there.
It's a national call for action. We're activating school board. We're activating PTA body.
Right.
We are saying to every single Jamaican, no child must be left behind.
Yes.
Ministry is driving the process, but every single one of us have a responsibility. Our justices of the peace, our community based on our churches, Reverend Thwaites, our churches, everybody have to be accountable for the children in our care.
Well, this is
it.
I think
reach out to them.
We should take the lead. Last week, the Prime Minister made the point that the most important element of recovery from COVID is the engagement of children in education once again.
Yes.
Full engagement. Yes. And that there's no disagreeing with that.
No, Randy, there's a lot of them who didn't want to go in the first place.
Yes.
Couldn't go in the first place, and the Ministry of Education give them what? Give them their fault. They have divided their situation in many areas and going. So let we clap and wait.
Sure. Is there a time frame for the yard inquiry, Mr.
Yes. The yard Find the Child initiative is a 3-month intervention program.
Yeah.
Starts formally January 3rd and will end March 31st. We would have developed an app. It's called MOE Family Connect. The idea is to use this as a tool, as a database of the families that we're targeting, of the information that would have been provided by the families to drive evidence-based intervention. Yes? The point that Sir Charles would have mentioned about Ministry of Labor and Social Security, information that could have been generated by the app will also be shared with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, because there's a role for the Ministry of Labor and Social Security to treat with those particular families that would have urgent issues to be dealt with by the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. So yes, 3 months project. And Reverend Thwaites, again, Jamaica, we understand that even before COVID, truancy was an issue in some of our schools.
Yeah.
What this yard-to-yard Find the Child initiative will also seek to do beyond March,
20%.
because it's not like after March we're done. Beyond March, the app, the MOE Family Connect app, will be a tool to be again, identifying those individuals in our school that would have been seen as truants because of them not being in school as often as they ought to be. And instead of this time around just recording the information, we want to record the information, intervene, interface with the families, provide the support mechanism for our children to maximize the teaching and learning opportunities available to them.
Yeah, you know.
And so we are very committed beyond March.
Yes.
Right, to ensure that when our children are re-engaged, they stay engaged.
Yes.
We are able to ensure that they have access to quality education. I'll say one more thing, Reverend Thwaites. One of the things when we look at the 25 schools within the 5 zones of special operation at the time, one of the things we encourage our educators to understand, and we had a lot of discussion around it. So we knew before COVID that oftentimes girls do better in school than boys. We know oftentimes that boys are the ones that drop out of school more than girls. We knew those things long before COVID, magnified by COVID again. But we also know if our boys are to return to school and stay in school, we have to recalibrate what we call school. We have to ensure that we are designing school in such a way that is going to be attractive to our boys.
That is a solution, Mr. Troupe. That is a solution. If on the corner with the 2 guys that pass out of school already is more attractive. My time it was playing marbles. Now time it is looking at naked picture on tablet rather and laugh. You saw the advertisement on the TV. It's a very good one. It's very real. Follow me? Right. But let me just say this. Do not bypass the councillors and the MP. Because if he's on the ground, he know every picnic who not going to school. And he can say it to the principal. The principal knows who don't have no food, and some of the teachers have to take their own money, buy a bulla, and luckily they can buy it. They go drink now.
So
things have improved, Ronnie. Very, very much.
I want to ask: is the school feeding program back up, Mr. Troupe?
Yes, the school feeding program. Remember, when the children were not in school, the
Just the path ones got it.
school feeding program on the part would have gone to the families. Now the children are back in school.
And money mix up.
That money is, and when they go to the family, yes, it will mix up. But now that they're back into in-person classes, the part fund will be coming back to school. So the welfare program will continue for children on part. Can I also suggest, Sir Thwaites, that again, for the diaspora community,
Yeah, man, it must help.
oftentimes one of the things that keep children in school is the breakfast program,
Yes.
the lunch program.
Yes.
The schools would have normally also mobilized resources locally from their own fundraising effort from private sector.
Yes.
We know there is an economic fallout because of the pandemic.
Sure.
Again, this is another window of opportunity for the diaspora community to help their school and to help communities by, again, providing support for the expansion, and I say expansion, and I think it's a continuation, Sir Thwaites. I'm saying expansion of our school feeding program because, again, this is one of the reality of the COVID-19 pandemic. Many persons would have lost their jobs.
Yes.
Many persons, the economic livelihood would have been destroyed because of COVID. And so they are not in a position to feed their children.
So if one of the best investments that we could do privately and publicly, Pearnel, is to ensure that there is the availability of breakfast and lunch for all our school children. I believe that will be a major crime-fighting effort, Richard Troupe.
Because 1 minute, there's another.
Statement, Sir Thwaites.
Yeah. What were you saying, Pearnel?
There's another problem,
Uh-huh.
and I am wondering. It is not something to spread out,
Uh-huh.
but this vax.
Yeah.
There are some parents who are going to say their children not going to sit down beside next picnic who know how they vax.
How do you answer that, Richard Troupe?
Yeah.
Because it is a fact.
And some going to say that he said the teacher not take it neither.
And yes.
So if the teacher not take it,
Why?
if some people not take it, why should I send my child there? That is a question they're asking.
Yeah, and it's we pose it to you, Richard Troupe, because it is a response to that. You're going to have to feed an adequate response to those young people and social workers who are going to the families.
Yes.
Yes. I'm hoping, one of the things I'm really hoping is that the Ministry of Health will be able to guide us soon that the vaccination is available for school children. We know about the over 12s now, and the take-up hasn't been as dramatic as we would want, but everybody has to encourage that. And I'm hoping that for the younger children, it will soon be available because that will answer some of Pearnel's concerns.
Yes. Every parents who have taken the vaccine is making sure that their children take
it too.
No, they are concerned with this rumbar argument that is some 66 and some steel, all this rubbish.
Well,
right?
listen, this is
Let
why.
us get it straight that the children must be vaccinated, teachers must be vaccinated, and parents must be vaccinated. 90% of who die was not vaccinated.
And this is why the program, very granular program, walking street to street, district to district, house to house, which is being proposed
by the Ministry of Education.
It is the Yard to Yard Find a Child initiative. That's why it's very important, but it has to be a fulsome program where we're getting reports as to what is said, what is needed. Yes?
And I would like Mr. Troupe to give us the report so that we can inspire other parents. Say, look here, you might be the only one out there that is not vaccinated because so much of those people have been.
So who you are going to be involved, Richard Troupe, in instructing and help and orienting these people who will be going yard to yard?
Absolutely, Reverend Thwaites.
Yes,
absolutely.
Good.
And in addition,
hear your enthusiasm.
One of the questions on the app is the vaccination status of our children.
Yes, okay.
We want to know because that kind of data will inform, again, some action that we need to pursue. We need to ensure that all of our boys and girls are vaccinated.
Yes.
So it is pointing to what might be the required vaccination campaign effort that might be needed to ensure we want to track how many of our unaccounted students are not vaccinated, and how do we, again, at the end of March, measure how much of that has changed by the end of March.
We want to commit ourselves here on the bridge to be supportive of this venture. We hope you will keep us to date as to the extent to which it is succeeding, and we want to encourage our listeners in the diaspora that contributing to whether it's a school nutrition program or a school uniform and school shoes program. I know a councillor candidate in one constituency who has connections abroad and brings down hundreds of pairs of shoes. Yes, for children. Whoever can help, whatever the situation is, this is a major national initiative.
Ronnie, if somebody from America come up into the woods and tell Miss Bertha, say, look here, make sure they pick them, get vaccinated. You realize that the diaspora have a
very strong persuasive role.
Overseas persuasion
role.
Because they say, boy, my daughter from overseas sent concern, I must take it. Me ready.
Ready. Good. Got it. Richard Troupe, your enthusiasm is so evident in your voice.
You're sure you're at the Ministry of Education?
This is very good. We commend you. We support you. We look forward to more of this on Educate Jamaica. Thank you so much for your company today.
Thank you, Sir Thwaites, and thank you, Sir Charles.
Okay. That's Mr. Richard Troupe, Acting Director for Safety and Security in Schools Unit in the Ministry of Education and Youth. We give the venture of going around trying to find the children where they are, encouraging them to come back to school. If they don't agree, if they don't come out, then we have to know who they are. We can't just left them, so Pearnel.
Ronnie, that is the seed of the gangs.
Tell you so. Thank you.
The seed of crime.
So I want to talk more about that exercise than I do about scraping them up and carrying them go to Central or
Hold on.
Yeah.
Why you say I? Say we.
We. Thank you, sir. Oh, Lord, isn't that lovely? That's a Public Eye on the Bridge 99 FM. Take it away, Richie. We're going to be joining Irie Jam in New York in just a few minutes. Beau-regard is setting up himself to receive the barrage of comment and to reply that will come from the Public Eye. Pearnel Charles Sr. was with me today. We had a very interesting interview with Richard Troupe of the Ministry of Education, but a number of things have been raised.
Yes.
First of all, I want to get your views. The quality of schools and the attendance at school, which is what Troupe was talking about, is very often determined by the parents' perception of what is a better school. So you would have had a school in Clarendon. I certainly had one in Central Kingston. High school now we're talking. But it applies to primary school. And the parents say, no, sir, I might live right next to that school, but my picnic bright, so we now send him there.
No, it's the other way around. Your picnic up in Chapelton don't get more than 40%. So a child in Kingston who gets 90% is at Clarendon College.
Yes, sir.
And your picnic that look upon the school there have to find a Veer.
Yes.
Because Veer will take somebody with under 50.
Yes, sir.
So in other words, I shouldn't say it that way because I look like I'm indicting the school.
No.
I'm using an example.
Yes, it is. And it's a true example.
Geographic example of where you are.
Yeah.
You understand me? So what grade you got in your what is the grade?
PEP. Call it PEP now.
Right? What grade you had determined. But I disagree with you and others to say that if I am able to, if I live in Harborview and I'm able to, my child who get 97%, I'm able to drive that child to school at Campion. I don't see why my child should go to Windward Road. So, but you are saying that because Windward Road is walking distance from where I live, I mustn't drive my
No, so I'm asking you, are you in favor of zoning, school zoning?
Yes, I am in favor of zoning, but I'm not in favor of taking away the right from a parent who may have gone to Campion or may have gone to KC, right?
No, but that's a contradictory position, isn't it? Because if every parent...
I am 100% in agreement with you.
Yes.
But I think that they have a right.
Yeah, that is a prevailing thought. And we feel that because the parent has that right, that if they can get their child into a different school than the one in their zone...
And get the child there and get the child educated.
Yeah, but if you do that, what you have is the roundabout chaos and the congestion, etc.
I need to go behind the door and probably get stand up with one foot, right, and hold on ears. But I am not convinced that my 97% child should be forced to go to a 40% school. But when I can take that child to a 97%.
So let's go a step further. Professor Patterson, in his soon-to-be-released study on transforming Jamaican education, he says the thing to do is to make the 40% school
go up. No problem.
Well, there is a problem. He says
get it up.
But he says that will take money, and the money must come from two sources. One, the money can't all go to the or the same money can't go to the, if you wish, privileged schools as the weaker schools. The weaker schools must get more.
Yes.
Right. Okay, but that is very controversial.
Well, yes? That's a controversy that I'm prepared to live with.
Okay, that has political consequences, but I'm with you on that.
Well, running.
And secondly,
once we're not running, we're not worried too much about the politics. Once on the night and the announcement of who wins, it's not our concern. We become very liberal, you know.
Well, indeed, and we're going to. That's the correct position. The other constraint is, happy to discuss this with you because it's so meaningful. The other thing is that Professor Patterson says it, where parents can contribute, they should contribute. This nonsense about free education. Can you imagine me, a mentee of Michael Manley, saying that? But it is true. It would be nice if we could, but we cannot afford free education for those who can afford to contribute. If a person cannot afford to contribute, the child should get the best education for nothing. But when you tell me that you can go for Dream Weekend and you can travel and you can pay
go away for holiday.
Yes, sir. And when you've sent your child to a prep school at $120,000 a term, and then you go to a high school, and and government tells you that you're not obligated to pay the $25,000 or $30,000 that they're offering, makes no sense.
No, it makes nonsense.
Yes.
No sense. It makes nonsense.
You see the miracles that are taking place with this combination of Charles and Thwaites.
Right, but look at it this way.
Yes.
Look at it this way. And it's a serious matter.
It is.
Because you're saying to a child who's a parent who just cannot afford it, that child should be privileged to go to school free.
Absolutely. That's what we're saying.
You're saying to a child who change shoes every term.
Yeah.
Change suits every term, and even clean out the car to go to school every term. Right? I don't object to that.
No.
But don't take it away from the little man who don't have nothing.
No. But
and the final analysis, who pay for it?
Exactly. The taxpayer must pay for it.
It is the taxpayer. And the same man who can't send him pick near school, if him don't pay, take away him land.
Exactly.
Or, you understand?
Do something. But the other guy can hire a lawyer and get himself off the tax. Yes. Beau-regard at Irie Jam in New York. Good day and welcome.
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome.
You see, we have a hot scene going here in Kingston between Charles and myself, you know.
Yes, I love it. It's exceptional.
Where are you? In Long Island?
No, I'm in Queens right now.
Oh, in Queens, yes.
Yes.
You know, I told Ronnie that Queens, Long Island, Bronx, Brooklyn, Harlem was my taxi man.
He's coming up to renew his taxi license.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that.
I am a City College man, you know.
Yes.
Well, no, that's good. Beau-regard, what is happening in your city? What's happening in your country? Give us an idea of what you're hearing from your listeners. We're anxious to hear the thoughts. We're anxious to listen to the Caribbean community that you represent.
Well, actually, before I got on here, I was here wondering how much money I actually spent last year compared to 2020, on products and services. Not saying I wouldn't spend money, but how much extra money I actually spent, because according to the Consumer Price Index data that was released
7%.
today, they're saying that it went up 7% in December over a year, and that's
and we're not talking about Irie Jam at all, but we're the wage earner is asking, did his wages and earnings increase by 7% or over that? Because otherwise he's behind the game,
Yeah, but Ronnie,
loses.
Let's not disturb him. But I'd like to say this. It is the highest it has been in the United States for many, many years.
Yes.
Since the 80s.
And part of the reason for that is the virus.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily former president or present president, right? But everything has gone topsy-turvy, not only in America, but in Jamaica.
How are we going to build Humpty Dumpty back together, Beau-regard?
Well, hopefully the president can work out something right now. Everybody's looking towards the president to, actually mend the country and mend everything that's happening here in the United States. Just yesterday, him and the vice president, they traveled to Atlanta to mobilize the Democratic Party behind maybe one of the single most important policy change it faces right now, which is to stop the Republican Party. Their party is war on the voting rights. And Georgia has been a focal point in voters' rights and was very instrumental in the 2020 elections for Joe Biden. 2 Democratic senators won a runoff election there. Yes, Warnock. Yes, and they helped to get the Democrats control of the U.S. Senate. Also a state that was formerly represented by the late civil rights icon John Lewis. And in his speech, and the speech that he gave was really a bid, to ask the Senate rules to be changed in terms of passing voting rights legislation. And one of those legislations is actually the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act.
We are watching the CNN tracker, and it says that showing Mitch McConnell saying that Biden's voting rights rant, he calls it, in Atlanta yesterday was beneath his office. America is much more divided than even Jamaica, Beau.
Yes, it is, very much so.
Yeah. So I'm fully in support of what President Biden said, but I am hoping that he has the clout, the legislative clout, Pearnel Charles, to get it through the Congress. He doesn't have a 14 majority.
He may have the clout, but he might not have the vote.
Well,
so he needs people like Manchin and Cinema to come over on the Democratic side.
Yeah, but what he needs to do, he's going to have to compromise with them. You may get a watered down bill, but a partial bill is better than nothing at all, eh?
You have to make up your mind now, which is the most important. And you have to go that way. If compromising with them is more important, then it's a national interest.
What a hell of a life when you have to compromise with your own side, sir.
Yes. Which takes me to my next question, Mr. Thwaites and Mr. Charles. We are not on the verge of any guerrilla warfare in Jamaica, are we?
No, sir. We're not. Thank God we're not.
Okay.
And the references, I didn't understand the reference to that.
No, but could you explain to me why you asked that question?
Because the Prime Minister was reported over the weekend as saying that the pretensions of the Maroons was the stuff of which guerrilla warfare could take place.
Well, does that mean that guerrilla warfare is taking place?
That's what Beau is asking, and we're answering very clearly no.
Not at all. Not at all.
We
wouldn't have guerrilla warfare against ourselves.
We have a serious...
Not that type like they had against the British.
We have a serious crime problem, as everybody knows. Yes, which some people think is guerrilla warfare. I don't style it that way, but we really don't have. What's your view? What's the view you're picking up from the Jamaicans about this issue with the Maroons? Are they saying that there should be some kind of understanding, some kind of compromise, or are they saying plain and straight, go sit down? You are a part of Jamaica and you comply with Jamaican rules and regulations?
Well, there are people on the side of the Maroons and knowing for years about the compound lands. And, you know, people are saying that they've been there for years. The government have identified and know who they are. And, you know, why now all of this is happening in 2021, you know. And we see a lot of receipts coming out, you know, people starting to show evidence of, you know, saying that these people really should lay claim to this land, you know, and that they should not be bothered by the government and things of that nature.
How they're going to lay claim? Ask your listeners, so how they're going to lay claim to this land? When they step out of a compound, Beau-regard, know, you must have been up there. Whose territory they're on? When the police station is in a compound,
and the school,
or the school, who they answer to? Chief Curry or to the appropriate government minister?
To the appropriate government.
So what are we talking about sovereignty, sir? If you want to tell me that you have cultural position, a cultural integrity that you want to maintain, and that it is special and that we cherish it that way, then I'm with you.
And see, this is where a lot of people are confused. Even me, you know, people don't want to basically know, like, what was the agreement that was made for the Maroons in Jamaica, in that area of Jamaica?
In 17 odd? What you had was a peace treaty. Mm-hmm. What you had was in an entirely different situation, where Jamaica was a colony, one, two, where the geography was such that many areas of the country were inaccessible to one authority. Okay, right. You had an arrangement which brought an end to the Maroon War, and I'm not discounting that, but I'm saying that to say that is a recipe for a separate state in 2021 it couldn't last. It could only last. I remember the couple was it as much as 2 years ago when the Maroons tried to have their own currency.
Yes,
the Lumi. But that couldn't work. No shop would take it.
And want the Bank of Jamaica to but let me just say quickly.
Yes.
I don't believe there's any attempt to move people off the land that they have inherited from their great-great-grandmother. Because there's nobody alive up there now who was around in the treaty time.
No.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people who've gone away to live calling themselves Maroon, who have no cousin or auntie was Maroon. Mm-hmm. So, hear this now. We are Jamaicans. We live in St. Elizabeth, and you can't say you cut off piece of St. Elizabeth because my great-grandfather did get it from some great-grand British man. This is just rubbish. Mm-hmm. As far as I'm concerned, let them stay. I don't have any grudge. Take a truck or take them off of them land or run them off of them land.
But please don't let us escalate speech on either side. The reference to guerrilla war was an angry one, and I do not think it was appropriate. Similarly, and I'm not just splitting the difference, you know, I don't do that, but when Mr. Curry is of the view that him can carry gun, yes, without the permission of the proper firearms authority, etc. Him don't have to answer anybody to carry him gun. He's wrong.
Right.
Yes. Hold on a sec, man. We take a break on the Public Eye on the Bridge 99 with Irie Jam. We'll soon come back. There's more. So, Beau, before we take the caller, just to say, what we need to do with the Maroon issue is to sit down and talk it through. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't like this true word business at all. I'm going to suggest something to Pearnel, who is very connected. Someone with the cultural sympathy of Babsy Grange, a very mature minister, woman. Yes. If she would take a drive up to a compound and sit down with this gentleman, Mr. Curry. Yes, and say, come now, We're going to work out how your specialness, your particularity, your cultural integrity is maintained. How we're going to see, as best government can, not in any preferential way, but in a good way, to see to the upliftment of the Maroon community. But please let us be clear that you fall under Jamaican law. You are Jamaican citizens. I believe Babsy would come away with something, that the cabinet would accept, and that the Maroons would not feel disrespected, but would feel vindicated. How about that?
That sounds like a very good step to me.
And if Lisa Hannah would go along with Babsy, yes, glory be to the Father, and hallelujah. What do you think, Beau?
That sounds very good. Mr. Thwaites.
Pearnel a laugh.
I wouldn't tell you why I laugh.
Dialogue is always good,
Much better than true word.
Yeah, man.
Yes, although, yes, there we go. Let's take a caller. Caller, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sir Ronald.
Hi.
Good afternoon, Chief Charles, and to Beau-regard.
Yeah, man,
and,
welcome.
How you doing, sir?
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Let me, at the outset, take the opportunity to wish Beau-regard and Chief Charles all the best for the new year, 2022.
Sure.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good.
Same to you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon to your listeners here and abroad,
Right.
and also within the eminent diaspora. I would like to say, gentlemen, that I support you on the issue of the Maroon, the so-called controversial issues that have emanated recently. I do hope that it can be addressed in an amicably successful way.
Yes, man.
And I support you, Ronnie, in that I think it would be an excellent idea if, in fact, the Honorable Babsy Grange and Lisa Hannah could together travel to the community and have a discussion with the chief.
And look at one other addition, caller and Pearnel. J.C. Hutchinson is a member of parliament for that. It includes that area of St. Elizabeth.
I not want to disturb me. Those Maroons voted, right?
Of course.
And most of them voted.
I don't know how many, but they vote. They have the right to vote, and they
voted.
There would have been a voting station in Maroon Town.
Yeah.
And they pay tax every time they go to shop. The caller, they have to pay GCT.
Yes.
And pay property tax. Well, I don't know if they pay property tax for Maroon lands, but in any event, they are citizens of Jamaica.
Yes, and if they travel, they have to get a passport. They have to come to passport office in Kingston for it.
Quite so, sir.
And they have to declare that they what? To get a passport, you have to be a Jamaican.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, so if they have a passport, they have made a declaration. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Continue.
Thank you, gentlemen. I wish to sincerely and respectfully commend and congratulate the community for the upliftment of the mentally ill Kumi based in Montego Bay, led by the indefatigable nurse Joy Crooks, ODJP, for the very outstanding, excellent, and immense work that Kumi has been doing in Montego Bay, spanning close to 3 decades now, professionally taking care of the mentally ill, the street persons, and addicted persons within the Montego Bay area. And they also operate a night shelter seeking to accommodate as much street persons who would think it important and necessary to go to their night shelter. And they also provide medication for the mentally ill.
Really?
However, they are in need of much more resources based on media reports.
Yes.
And I am publicly and respectfully urging the Minister of Health, the hardworking Dr. Christopher Tufton, to approve a yearly allocation to Kumi via government funding so as to allow them to be in a better position to take care of the mentally ill persons to whom they regularly care for. Here in St. James, gentlemen, there are over 40 persons who currently live on the streets of Montego Bay. And I think it's also imperative that the Mayor Leroy Williams of the St. James Municipal Council, see how best the municipal corporation can assist in some funding as well to Kumi, or even seek to donate an equipped vehicle for Kumi, which is so desperately needed. During the tenure of the late Mayor Arthur Gilchrist, Mayor of Montego Bay, he gave so much support and assistance to Nurse Crooks and to Kumi during his tenure. And I think Kumi expects that the Mayor and the St. James Municipal Corporation will also seek to assist them as well.
Tell me though, Pearnel, you would know, isn't poor relief a local government responsibility?
Yes, it was on the local government.
Yes.
Poor relief.
And therefore, I need to ask Rob or Caller the question: why isn't the St. James Municipal Corporation? We know that all of them are constrained for funds, but surely they should back Kumi to do what they are responsible to do, but understandably cannot do to the extent.
I'm sure they have a team of investigators out there under the parish council that do that.
But the private agency,
yeah,
Nurse Crooks and her team, I mean, they deserve support. That we shouldn't even. I want to say we shouldn't even have to beg for them. Their worth is so palpable. Am I not right, Caller?
Absolutely correct, Ronnie.
Mm-hmm.
When you take a look within a broader framework, across Jamaica, the last figures that I read, approximately 3,400 persons are living on the streets across Jamaica.
And that's probably an underestimate.
Quite so.
Yeah.
And there is no formal policy that I've seen from government and the health ministry to address this significant, immense, and very unfortunate situation, which I think should be of broad concern to all respectable and law-abiding citizens within the country.
I think I hear that I've heard Minister Mackenzie speak about these drop-in centres that are being one at a time, I suppose, developed. But that would be some response. But the question I'd like to wonder is, the infirmaries, aren't they supposed to have the ability to, I don't want to say be flexible, expand?
Rana, there's a security problem.
Oh.
There are people on the streets who their relatives would love to take off the streets. They have taken some off the streets and they just slip out and are back on the streets. They don't. There are people who, whether it is a mental, whether it is a
mental problem,
they are extremely comfortable on the street and not in a home. You carry them to the home and they leave.
But then,
so you have to add security. You have to add a lot of things.
But then that's where Kumi comes in, isn't it, Caller? That's exactly the situation.
Yes.
They don't ask any questions. They just say, look, you need help. You can come and sleep here. You can get your medication here. You can get some food and a shower here.
Yes, absolutely. That they have been trying to perform despite the lack of resources. But I really think that it is prime time now for some government funding to be allocated to Kumi. They are performing an important role. And there is quite scandalously an all-pervasive attitude towards the mentally ill and persons addicted to drugs in Jamaica.
Right.
We seem not to be exhibiting the level of concern that we should, and also putting into place the organizations to assist them. And in fact, there is currently no drug rehabilitation ward at the Cornwall Regional Hospital.
Yes.
And that is also of utmost importance for Minister Tufton to address, because there are so many persons that are suffering excruciatingly from drug addiction problems and mentally ill issues across Western Jamaica, and there is no government facility in the structure of an hospital to give them the required treatment to which they so desperately need.
Listen, we are hearing a compassionate plea for those services to become real and better supported than they are. We're going to leave you now, but I want to assure you that we will press hard for their realization and to commend you for being an advocate on behalf of those who are really voiceless. Thanks so much for your call today.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. All the best to you.
Good.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
The Public Eye on the Bridge 99, the Honourable Pearnel Charles Sr. and myself. Welcome, Leo Gilling, Diaspora Engagement Advocate, Chairman of the Jamaica Diaspora Taskforce Action Network, JDTAN. Leo Gilling, you've made a name for yourself by your love for Jamaica. Welcome home this afternoon, and may I introduce you to the Honourable Pearnel Charles.
It's great to meet you. It's great to see you again. And it's great to meet you, Honourable Pearnel Charles. I am quite aware of you from I was a boy.
From you were growing up here?
Yeah.
So then what I would have expected to say to me is, Wagwan.
Well, it's good to be here. Wagwan.
Leo Gilling, we are linked today for this segment with Beau-regard and the Irie Jam listenership in the tri-state area. It gives us an opportunity to invite you to give us an overview of diaspora arrangements, commitments, issues that need attention from the Jamaican public, Jamaican government, so that we can in fact achieve over time this objective of being one nation divided all over the world but with a single commitment. Talk to us about your work.
Thank you. I was enjoying that conversation with that gentleman about mental illness and health, so because we do that too. But let me tell you a little bit about me. I've been in this space for 32 years in the diaspora engagement space. I've been there from day one when the movement started back in 2003, 2004. I'm probably the one active voice, the active present since then until now. And so what I have done over the years, I'm an educator. First, I went to Sam Sharp Teachers College.
Really?
Sam Sharp.
Yes, man. Simon Clark, man.
Simon Clark.
Yes.
Yes,
boy.
Simon Clark. Yes, it was his birthday 3 or 4 days ago.
Well, we extend that. Yes, Simon Clark, veteran and pedigree Jamaican.
Absolutely. And so what I do, since 2013, I have engaged in what is called Taskforce management, Taskforce development. I'm credited with introducing the Jamaica Diaspora Education Task Force, and it became so successful. Within a year, we had received like $275,000 US dollars from the USAID because of something that I said on stage, and we were happy to be able to engage them and continue to engage them. What I do, since then we've had the crime intervention and prevention task force joined as a part of the education task force. The technology, agriculture, immigration, all of these task forces blew up within the first 2 years. In 2019, I brought it all together and said, we're operating independently, and as a result, we wanted to create a more robust opportunity for Jamaica, a better organized way to bring initiatives and interventions to Jamaica. So in 2019, I started what is called the Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network, which is the JDTAN, what you call JDTAN. And we have 15 task forces currently, 4 in education. We just started out 4 in education. We have the early childhood, the special education, primary, secondary, and also tertiary. We have agriculture, technology, you name it. 15 different task forces with 45 different leaders, 15 chairpersons for each task force, and I am the chairman of the overall umbrella organization.
How wide is your umbrella? Do those task forces encompass what? All of Jamaicans all over the United States? Is it wider than
43 countries. 43 countries.
You hear that, Pearnel? 43 countries.
Over 1,600 Jamaican professionals. Over 1,600 over 43 countries. Yes.
Whoa.
And so we, just in education alone, we have close to 400 persons in education, but the others are spread across all sectors. And we have, and so what we found that a lot of persons do things like, they raise funds, they bring back things to Jamaica, they bring health and education, equipment and supplies and so forth. But because the task force, the JDTAN started in December of 2019, we started engaging virtually. So most of last year we gave out over 200 workshops for teachers, parents, nurses, doctors, everyone, and that was 2020. In 2021, we had close to 150 different workshops, and there are workshops that when you come on, as long as you do a certain amount of hours, you get a certificate, and it's very, very impactful. We've collaborated with the Early Childhood Commission. Last year, they had over 18,000 teachers or practitioners registered. We collaborate with the JTA, with MICO, with every kind of educative institution across Jamaica. You name it, we have collaborated. We collaborate with University of Loma Linda, La Sierra University, Broward College, Broward Schools, Alabama University, Minnesota University, bringing all kinds of initiatives. Planned initiatives, and when I say planned, I mean we don't take anything for granted. We have sessions and we do surveys on what it is that the needs are.
Leo Gilling, we have to break. But before we do, when we come back, why you do it? Is this a volunteer movement among all those professionals and people? Why do they do it? And what kind of reception do you get in Jamaica? What more could make the results even better? Leo Gilling of the Jamaica Diaspora Taskforce Action Network. This is good stuff. This is stuff that people in the diaspora must listen to and must find a way to associate with. It helps Jamaica. Isn't that the objective? We soon come back on the Public Eye. Leo Gilling, why do you do this? Why do those dozens and hundreds of Jamaican professionals engage with you in this venture?
I think that. Well, let me say. I read something one day. It says, "True leaders have a servant heart," and I think that people in the diaspora love them country. They want to give back. But sometimes, for a long time, they didn't know how to, because there wasn't a tool in which they were able to. And what we've done is devise a tool so that they can sit in their bedrooms and give back to Jamaica. Why they give back is just the love for their country. There is heavy need. We're here, we read the news every day, and we talk to people, we talk to our families, we talk to our friends. I talk to teachers and nurses and doctors and police officers. I talk to them, and I know some based on what their responses are, because we don't stay here and just give back. We want to know what the needs are first, and then we can't. There's no way in which we're going to solve everybody's problem. But the kind of resources that we have that we can give we match them to the needs that are in Jamaica. That's how we operate. So our some of our tenets look like collaboration and partnership, because that's important to develop relationships with Jamaica and with the diaspora.
Are you getting the help? Are you getting
yes.
the reception locally that you need in order to justify the very exemplary commitment that those in the diaspora are showing?
Absolutely. I feel very honored when people, when the companies and the organizations reach out to us and say, hey, Leo, we need your help. The PIOJ, the JTA, you name it, the ministries. Just recently, we had the Ministry of Education, the JTEC, reached out to us. They needed persons to sit on their task force. We provided that. So, yes, we have ultimate regard from Jamaica, and they see the need for the kind of work that we do. They see the need for behavioral help. They see the need for educational help, and all of these, they're very, very important to Jamaica, because and they reach out. So we are getting the feedback, we're getting the responses, and we're getting somewhere. Sometimes, people don't appreciate the intellectual gift and the intellectual remittances that we have to offer, because it's not physical, but the people who we can help to develop and to create more building capacity, nation building through helping people mentally prepare for their jobs, and to helping students and to helping clients. That is much more than anyone can.
What you said again just before you come in, Pearnel? What you said you read? A real leader has a servant heart.
As a servant heart, a true leader has a servant heart.
Well, listen to me, Mr. Charles. You take over now, because that is the answer to all of our problems. A real leader has a servant heart. Listen to the example that these people are setting. They don't have to, but they do. What you have to say?
I mourn when I know that things happen in Jamaica.
Yes.
That embarrass the diaspora.
Oh Lord, I'm glad you raised that.
And they can't walk and call freely.
Yes.
And I also know that when something good happens, and they can say, "You hear what's going on, man? Boy, things doing well." They would well, and we in Jamaica has to try
yes.
and uphold the hand
yes.
of our Jamaicans abroad. Mr. Gilling have them right across the country.
43 countries.
43
but
countries.
That's what the bridge station is intending to do, Leo.
Yes, and we want to say from here, thanks to you, and on behalf of Jamaica, on behalf of who are not listening now and cannot say it for them, we want to say to you and to all of you, thanks.
Yes.
Keep going. Don't be discouraged by this one or two incidents. They will come in America, in Canada, anywhere. But be dedicated to us.
I'd love to get a response from our listeners in the diaspora. Beau-regard, you know of the work of the Jamaica Diaspora Taskforce Action Network. You think it would be interesting to the listeners of Irie Jam?
Yes, I definitely believe so. I love what he's saying about education and preparing people, just to go out there in the world and to just be better people.
Well, there's a bridge of communication, because what I think is our resolve, Leo Gilling, is to provide a platform. You have others, and I'm aware of them, but to provide a durable and extensive platform that in fact communicates with the diaspora everywhere in the world. You need as much as much notice and as much attention and as much feedback as you can get. Am I right?
Absolutely. We never. Over the years, I must tell you that we have built, based on the work that we've done.
Yeah.
We have built a network that is undeniable. I mean, our email list is like 110,000 people, Jamaicans across the world.
We want to. We want that.
So we don't take it for granted, though.
No.
I don't abuse it. People don't get advertisements from us. What they get from us is the work that we do, and so our readership on our list is at 88%. The open rate is at 88%. So that doesn't happen normally. You get 10% on your email list and you're happy. Yeah. We have 88% readership. And so that it's because of what we do. We engage people. We do surveys to find out how people feel about what we're doing, and they're responding it's really great. And we participate. Come next month, Reggae Month, for the past 2 years, we've joined forces with the Ministry of Culture. And we have taken, we were responsible, for example, for spreading the word across Diaspora, every country in the world that we are part of, on how to vote for our independence festivals, song winners. That never happened before. And we do that all day long. It's really a pleasure. And no one at all cannot stop me. And they've tried, they can't stop the people who are here. They're very strong-willed. They know that they have to help Jamaica, and they are doing it. So, there are a lot of ways in which people try to stop the progress of work, but it's still going.
Would you like to vote in national elections?
The one thing I try not to do and I tell I implore the 1,600 members that we don't want to do anything about the political atmosphere in Jamaica. We don't want to change any policies. We don't want to force anybody, because we're not living there. The way I see it, I have the right to vote in the United States. I voted yesterday, right? I have the right to vote in the United States. And the people who are impacted on the island are the people who need to vote. Okay. I don't believe that, we're too far. One of the questions I got here a couple of days ago was, what is it that you felt very strongly about before, and then when you find out the truth, you realize that you were wrong? And I had to step back and think about it. You know what it was?
What?
We sit here and listen and watch the news daily, and we read and we get excited and we get upset and all that stuff. And people say, take police and throw them where, or take the teacher them and touch them where, and them stuff there, right? Because them don't know what them are doing and all that stuff there. When you actually get involved in servant leadership and you get a chance to go and sit with the ministry and the teachers and the JT, and you realize that there is a system that they are employing, that the police has a system that they are employing, and all we need to do from a diaspora standpoint is find out where those gaps are and help to fill them where we can. I don't believe that I think people stay up here and say a lot of things, and it's wrong. It's wrong for us to stay here and judge because we don't know.
Well, one of the things that we do here is to try and offer the information and to just bridge the gap. There are not two more different people in Jamaica than Pearnel Charles and myself, from all kinds of different reasons. But we come together in order to be able to present to people like your good self, your members, your constituency, the truth about this country, which is that which unites us is far, far greater than what divides us, eh?
Yes, absolutely.
Mr. Troupe, let me tell you something. I was living in New York,
Gilling,
and when I hear that I could get a gleaner down 42nd Street, I took 2 cabs to reach here, I want to know what is happening in Jamaica. Yeah. And I know how the Jamaicans abroad feel, the connection. When you hear a calypso, when you hear a reggae, so they have this warmth. Yeah. And I'm proud of the fact that what he hasn't said is that they don't want to stay there and take it on a party line. Yeah. They want to be Jamaican.
Right.
That they can go where the problem is, whether it is party side, black side, brown side, any side, Jamaica. Yeah. And I am proud of men like yourself who is carrying the flag, and our friend in New York.
Yes. Beau-regard is there. Let me ask ask Leo Gilling a question, though. All well and good for you. You went to Sam Sharp's Teachers College. You're born here and you have experience here. What about the second generation and the third generation, Leo Gilling? Is there any hope for the durability, for the sustenance of the diaspora movement?
Let me tell you what we don't do a good job of in the diaspora. We don't do a good job as parents to continue the lineage, to continue the Jamaican
bloodline.
Yes, we don't do a good job of it. Once we come here, we kind of take our kids and put them into the system that they're existing, and so, you know, when a child, my child, different. My kids are different. I made sure, because I don't talk English to them. I don't talk like I talk Jamaican to them. And so they're happy. My son was very happy in 2019 when I said, listen, he's a basketball player, a coach. I said, listen, I need you to come do a day of service in Jamaica with me. He said, what? I'm ready. And he created the T-shirts, and he got all the basketballs. He had like 30 basketballs and like 100 T-shirts, and he brought them down, and he conducted a
workshop,
a basketball camp
for
4 days. You know, so yes, but not many of us do that.
That's dedication to Jamaica.
That makes it all the more reason.
We're very proud of you
for the combination. Beau-regard, what do you think? You think we can keep the movement alive, even though plenty children won't have their navel string buried in Jamaica? What do you think? It's going to take quite some effort. It's going to take quite some education and some communication.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, I'm saying, do you think we can maintain the kind of energy, enthusiasm across the next generation, the generation after that? Your children, born and bred in New York, what will they have the same interest as you, do you think?
I share the same sentiments as Mr. Gillings. My son also played basketball, and I taught the same way around them. They try to emulate what I do, in terms of the culture. And,
so it's a parenting that makes a difference.
Yes.
Send them home for vacation, man. Let them come. Eat some mango and
man.
Like a worm. Brush off the worm off of them lip. Right? And buck them too.
Yes, buck them too.
Buck too.
Yes.
Eat bulla cake.
Yes. All right.
Yes.
So we have to.
And potato pudding.
What else is he coming with today? Can I tell you? Leo Gilling of JDTAN, thank you so much for your company. We're always available to you on the bridge to ensure that your people know what's happening, and we know what you are doing. It's a good movement. We want to build it up. It's the secret for a more prosperous and progressive and united Jamaica. Beau-regard, thanks so much to you at Irie Jam in New York for your company always, and we look forward to continuing this dialogue.
Always,
and
sir.
Sure. And to LaFane Wigan, and to our producers, and to the entire Irie Jam family and Bridge family, we say thanks for today's program and look forward to the next. And to you, sir, Mr. Charles, looking forward to Monday when we meet again on the Early Rise on the Bridge. Live Spear.
We say hello to all Jamaica. We said good day to some, good night to some, good evening to some,
43
good morning
nations,
to some.
can you imagine? Leo Gilling. That's it for the Public Eye. This is the Bridge 99.